The rings had always been there, bright and vast, painting the sky with silver arcs. For as long as humans had existed, they had looked up at those shimmering bands and believed they were eternal. From my apartment window in New York, the rings cut across the horizon like a scar of light. By day, they glittered white and gold. By night, they glowed faintly, a bridge of frozen dust stretching across the stars. I had grown up thinking they were beautiful. I didn't know they were dangerous. It started with the shadows. Scientists called it ring shade, the long dark patterns cast on Earth as the planet moved under the bands. In summer, the light shifted strangely, as if someone were slowly dimming the sun. People thought it was just an atmospheric quirk until crops started failing. The rings were not just rocks and ice, they were alive. The first proof came from a research station in Greenland. A probe was sent into the upper atmosphere to study particles falling from the rings. They weren't inert, they reacted. They changed shape when touched by sunlight, curling like tiny mechanical shells. The scientists thought they had found some kind of alien nanostructure. Then the probe stopped transmitting. A month later, fragments began to fall. At first, they were small shards of glittering crystal that melted on contact with the ground. Then larger pieces came, black and smooth, pulsing faintly, as if breathing. Governments told us not to panic. The fragments were harmless, but in small towns under the ring shade, people started disappearing. I worked as a photographer for an independent news agency. My editor sent me to Nevada, where a whole farming community had vanished overnight. No signs of struggle, just abandoned homes and silent fields. In the middle of the largest field, I found it, a perfect circle burned into the earth, as if something had landed or opened. That night, while reviewing my photos, I saw it in the background of one shot, a tall, thin figure, dark as obsidian, standing in the field. It hadn't been there when I was. The next day, a man from a government environmental agency showed up at my motel. He was polite, too polite, asking for my camera. When I refused, his smile didn't change, but his voice dropped. "They're here because of the rings, and you've seen too much." I left that night, driving east. Every few hours, I'd glance up and see movement in the rings. The bands were shifting, patterns forming and breaking apart like ripples. It was almost hypnotic, like they were watching me. 2 weeks later, the world changed. From every continent, people reported the same thing. The rings were growing brighter. At midnight, they lit up like a white fire, and streaks began to fall, not debris this time, but beams of light that touched the oceans and cities. Wherever the light struck, people simply vanished. Panic swept the globe. Governments collapsed. The beams moved methodically, as if searching for something. I stayed hidden in an abandoned observatory in the mountains, surviving on canned food, staring through a telescope at the impossible. It was then I saw the truth. The patterns in the rings were not random. They were symbols, vast and deliberate, shifting in a sequence, and buried within them, repeated over and over, was something that made my blood run cold, a human face. Not alien, human, my own. I didn't understand until the following night, when I woke to find a figure in my room. It was me, but older, eyes like frozen glass. He said nothing, just handed me a shard of the black ring material. It pulsed in my palm like a heartbeat. "You sent them," my double whispered. "You always send them. The rings aren't theirs, they're yours, and now it's time to finish it." Before I could speak, he was gone. Outside, the beams of light began to converge on the mountain. I looked up at the glowing bands in the sky and realized the truth no one on Earth had ever suspected. The rings weren't watching us. They were waiting for me.